Today, I'm going to teach you the 3 miracles of prayer. The world news feels intense right now. The headlines about Iran war, the Epstein files, financial uncertainty, and global division. And people are going through a great awakening through all kinds of breakdowns, whether it be in their relationships, their finances, or their health. And what do most people do? They scroll all day, they stress, they argue, they get more and more anxiety, and their nervous system pays the price. Their mental health spirals and their lives contract. So today I'm going to walk you through why the answer is always in prayer and how prayer actually works from a metaphysical, spiritual, and science perspective. And I'm going to teach you the 3 miracles of prayer. Welcome to the Dr. Erin Show. May you live your truth. Hi there and welcome. I'm Dr. E, Doctor of Divinity and Master Spiritual Coach. I'm the founder of Spiritual Psychology School and Soulciété, the community. We come together each week to decode the deeper meanings of spirituality, to align with universal law, and to ignite and activate source energy within. So today I want to talk about what is on the top of consciousness, which is people are really stressed out. The world news is super scary right now, and most people are doom scrolling all day long, getting more and more stressed out. Their nervous systems are getting fragmented and their lives are literally contracting. And for most people, they're just going through a great awakening anyway, which means that they're having, some breakdowns typically in all areas of their life, whether it be in their relationships and love, health and vitality, career and money, or really trying to figure out what their purpose and calling is. People are trying to find meaning. When you have stopped looking to the world and everything that you thought was safe or that was working for you is the rugs being pulled out from everyone right now. And what this is doing is it's awakening our sovereignty. That is the great awakening, is recognizing that we can't rely on anything of the external world, that we have to awaken to the divine source, God source within. So I always talk about, when you're out there in the world and you're looking at this news and it is horrific, the things that we're seeing right now. One of the worst things people do is they just energize it with negativity. They judge, they polarize, they point fingers. But what they don't do is go within to find what is the divine appointment for them to do out of this. Are you supposed to go into politics? Are you supposed to become an advocate over here? What is the highest use of your energy? And most of the time, I would take a client through doing deep E4 work to really get clear of what emotions are coming through and to actually transform those emotions. But I want today to really talk about prayer and the 3 miracles that come out of prayer. The truth is that every answer to every problem is solved within prayer. And people might ask, well, what is prayer? Most people think it's just like begging to some man in the sky. But I want to break it down from a metaphysical and spiritual and even scientific perspective. So the definition of prayer from New Thought wisdom and ancient wisdom is that it is the movement of energy upon universal law for a specific outcome, a specific demonstration and form. What does that mean exactly? That means consciousness, the true self, the pure potential of your consciousness is intentionally directing energy upon your subconscious mind, which is one with the subjective mind, which is one with universal law. And it is literally coming out in form, demonstrating this is a triune nature of the creative process of the universe. This is how we manifest. Now we are manifesting 24/7 because we're directing consciousness. But prayer is just very specifically and intentionally using this specific power, the life force within, the consciousness, the God source within, to direct energy for a specific demonstration. So I want to just explain kind of what I went through in prayer years ago. First of all, I didn't know what it was. I thought it was laughable. I thought prayer was basically hoping and wishing for something that was, out of my ability to create my life, right? It was something like, I'm sad, I'm lonely, or I don't have money, or I'm sick, or whatever it may be. And let me pray for something out there in the world, some God, some man, something, whatever it is, some deity out there in the world. And then I'm going to miraculously, if I'm good enough, then maybe this thing will grant me this wish of my desire. That is not what we teach at all. Prayer is literally the use, because each of us have an individual use of the universal divine mind, right? So prayer is really expanding consciousness to allow the truth of who you are to expand to all potential. So I want to share that as I've witnessed so many miracles in prayer. I've witnessed people literally having complete breakthroughs. I've seen literally people come out of prayer and the person they were in an argument with their mother or something, all of a sudden texts and said she loved her or something like that, right? Whatever it may be. I've seen people grow back their hair, not instantaneous in a prayer, but it began the process, right? I've seen miracle after miracle after miracle in prayer. And so I want to break down really the three miracles that happen in prayer. And what is a miracle? We have to first define that, okay? A miracle is simply a glitch in your current belief system. So a miracle is something that you're not expecting, right? It is out of what the construct of what you think is possible and all those things. So three miracles that can come out of prayer. So, and we have to know that if a prayer is done, these miracles happen in the prayer. It doesn't like hope that one day it's happening. I used to do that. I'd pray and then I go, now let me cross my fingers and let me hope that that prayer worked. No, prayer works in the prayer. So prayer is not done until one of these three things happen. Okay. Number one, and not in any particular order, but one of three things happen. Okay. Number one is you could go into prayer. Let's pretend that I am really sick. I, have cancer or something like that. Okay. And I go into prayer and I am praying and I'm expanding consciousness and I'm, really seeing the perfection of it. I'm focusing on it. I'm giving gratitude to it. I'm shifting it. I'm also seeing, the suffering and the resistance. I'm really, really just being with the cancer. Okay, let's just use that as an example. Now, my mind through prayer could completely shift. I could potentially, not that this would necessarily happen, but I could potentially come out of the prayer and think, oh my gosh, this is not a challenge, that not a curse. This is actually a blessing in disguise. This is going to demand me to get pure, to detoxify my body, to eat better, to do whatever work I need to do. It's a potential. The first miracle that can come out of prayer is that the problem is no longer a problem. Okay, you have shifted it from a resistance to acceptance. Okay, and maybe even shifted it to a blessing. Okay, so that's the first miracle that can happen in a prayer. The second miracle that can happen in a prayer is a new revelation, a new innovation, a new invention. Okay, I may go into that prayer. Let's just pretend that I'm wanting to make more money and I have no money in my bank account whatsoever. And I go into prayer and I'm in there and I'm praying. I'm saying, source, higher self, show me the way. I declare with the power of my word that I want to see and believe and know who I am and know that the birthright of who I am is abundance and prosperity. And in this prayer, the second miracle could happen. The miracle of a new innovation, an insight, a new invention, a new way of potentially solving this problem. So let's pretend that I go into prayer. I have no money in my bank account, and I'm saying, hey, I'm ready to have prosperity. I'm tired of suffering and lack and scarcity mindset and having no money whatsoever. And I go in there and I recognize in an instant in that prayer that I know exactly how I can serve people and bring value and bring the innovation and prosperity into others and into my life. So I come out of the prayer and the problem is solved. I may not have money in my bank account yet, but I know and I'm certain within my consciousness of how I'm going to solve this problem. I have a new insight, a new revelation, a new innovation, a new invention. It's come through in consciousness, through the divine mind, through that almighty divine mind. Okay. So the third miracle of prayer, the third miracle of prayer is the actual miracle. I have seen people literally where they're praying for money or something, and during their prayer, they literally see their phone after the prayer, and the person that owed them money literally wired the money. I've witnessed people having migraine headaches going into prayer and having the complete migraine headache go away. The best way to think about this is use the metaphor of I don't know if you've ever been to Europe, but I remember the first time I went to Europe, it was a long time ago, but the train stations, they'd have these little things that go wherever so the time would change on the track of what time the next train was going. And they had these little things that go and all these little flippy things would happen. And all the new times, all the new numbers of the trains, everything would change. And I feel like that. It's like we inform in prayer the new consciousness, the new state, the new miracle in consciousness. And everything in the external world is first informed by consciousness. The inner world goes out and then it reflects back through the external world. So miracles can happen in prayer for sure. We can't have attachment around them. We can't, go, I want a miracle right now. It may happen in that you perceive that the miracle is the blessing of the challenge that you're going through, right? Whatever it may be but one of these three things happen in prayer. If a prayer is done, one of these three things happen in prayer. One, you literally don't perceive it as a problem anymore, why you started the prayer. Number two, you have a new insight, a new inspired action. You see a way of solving it and an innovation, an invention way of doing it. Or number three, you actually experience a miracle. Now, prayer is the movement of energy upon universal law for a specific demonstration. So oftentimes when I pray, I will have a tear of joy, or I will literally feel new energetics of an inspired action, or I just know it's done. There's just this peace and this serenity in knowing it is done. It is complete in the divine mind. So I know so many people are so stressed out about everything going on out in the world. And it's not like you can, just become delulu and just put your head to the other direction. But at the same time, you have to know that if you're just consuming the fear and not doing anything about it, it's hurting yourself and it's actually hurting the world. You're not being of any use, of any good for your energetic. So again, if I were working with a client and we're in the school, if someone's really stressed out, we're going to do some deeper work. We're going to do some E4 regression work. We're going to clear the consciousness. We're going to see what is it that's so upsetting to this person that's actually being a divine appointment for this person to take action around their energetics, their emotions, and use it. And we're also going to do prayer. So we call it scientific prayer. We also call it spiritual mind treatment. The truth is that it's all prayer because it's all consciousness. It's all consciousness informing universal law, which is one with your subconscious mind for the outpicturing of your life. All of life is the projection and the reflection of who you are, your belief systems and your identity, your false identity based in your relationship to your true identity, your higher self. So now this brings me to this week's distinction of universal law, which is so in alignment with this conversation, which is the law of polarity. So there's only one universal law. It's a law of one, but each week we have one universal law distinction. So this week's distinction is the law of polarity. And it's summed up great in this one sentence. The moment you judge anything, good or bad, you set the universal law into motion instantaneously. Okay. So we have to know that consciousness is neutral. The universe doesn't know good or bad, but polarity is really the matrix, right? We're here as God source, experiencing ourselves as the individual human. Okay. We are one. We're in the multiverse of those. And polarity is set into motion, right? The moment I consider I'm not source, I actually set in polarity my entire experience being human. I also set the polarity into motion by the moment that I judge something good or bad. If I label anything positive or negative, I instantaneously make myself divided. And that's what we're seeing out in the world the most right now is the polarization. And what does that mean exactly? That means something great is being created. There's going to be equally good creations and equally bad creations because this is life and we're in a relative universe. So knowing this week, the real muscle to build in the spiritual practice with the law of polarity is to practice staying in neutrality, right? Notice when you do judge things, positive or negative, and then notice how you feel terrible or good instantaneously, the extent to which you judge something good or bad. That's how powerful you are. So this week's affirmation is, I am the witness of life and I energize what I choose to experience. Okay. And then the journal action, you can actually go down below, or if you're on the podcast, wherever it is, you can actually grab the weekly universal law lesson and journal an action. You can sign up for that. It'll also take you to an energy update. And then we come in here each week and we are knowing the truth together. Let's do this. Taking a deep breath in. Putting the hands in between sternum, connecting the heart and the head. I recognize right here, right now, the incredible life force and power within. I recognize the use of this can set into motion the entire universe. It is the source that's created all of life. And I recognize as we witness what is out there in the world, if we judge it good or bad, we instantaneously experience that on a cellular level within our nervous system, within all of life, within everything. And I recognize this is guiding us. There's something that's guiding us back to the neutrality, back to using our consciousness for good, being the cause of life, not being the effect of the external world. And so I'm just knowing a powerful, powerful mind that can use and direct energy upon the super consciousness to create anything in the form. And so I'm knowing right now the use and mastery of prayer, true prayer, scientific prayer, affirmative mind treatment prayer, recognizing that prayer is you creating the true you, the highest self, creating through and directing and informing your subconscious mind, informing the subjective mind, informing universal law for the specific demonstration. And you are the demonstration. You are the manifestation. Everything else is the mental equivalent and the vibrational match of who you be. And so I'm knowing powerful consciousness, powerful presence, powerful divine, and harmonizing and bringing harmony to this world. I just am knowing this, that the truth prevails. It is done, as together we say, and so it is. And so it is. Okay, if you are not already a part of our community, you can grab the free universal calendar below. You'll get the weekly energy update. You can also come into Soulciété, into the membership. We're doing soul sessions and doing spiritual practices and learning the basics in there. Or you can rise up and come into the certification in the SPPC and spend each week with me getting trained as a spiritual psychology practitioner coach, also in all the business mastery of coaching business, and also getting trained in E4 method, the process I created that got me the Walden Wisdom Award next to Oprah, Greg Braden, and Michael Bernard Beckwith. So I'm knowing a powerful week, you guys. Let's do this thing. Have a beautiful, blessed day, and may you live the truth.